Ne mutăm pe Zoom pentru că următorul invitat care ne va vorbi este Antonella Noya, șefa Unității de Economie Socială și Inovare a OECD, Organizația pentru Cooperare și Dezvoltare Economică, vorbind despre întreprinderi sociale înființate de tineri. Ce arată cel mai nou studiu la care lucrează Organizația pentru Cooperare și Dezvoltare Economică?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. We can hear you.
Hello. Yes, thank you very much. I can hear you and I hope you can hear me. I do not speak Romanian, so I'll go for English. I am very happy to be here with you to present some preliminary findings that my team is working on a project on youth-led social enterprises, which is carried out in the framework of a very important project that we do in partnership with the European Commission, which is called the Global Action to Promote Social and Solidarity Economy in all European countries, plus 6 non-European countries, that is Brazil, Canada, India, Mexico, United States, and South Korea. I see from the chat that apparently the translation is not working, so I hope you can still understand me. By the way, so you can move to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So the results that we are going to present are based on desk research that we have undertaken, and also on data gathered from a survey that we prepared last year and that we disseminated through many networks, including youth networks. And we reached out 80 countries and we gathered 700 replies. So we are confident that this is really representative of what the situation is and what the perceptions about challenges for youth to become social entrepreneurs are. So why it is important to look at youth and social enterprises? We know that young people face a number of challenges. And we see that more than 390 million youth are not in employment, education, or training, or work in precarious conditions. And our recent figures from OECD shows that youth are affected twice as strongly as other age group when it comes to employment, job, and precarity during the pandemic. So this is the bad side of the dark side of the moon. But which is the bright side of the moon? The bright side of the moon is that youth are very much motivated to make a difference. They are really driven by the will to make a difference, to make a social impact. And also our works show that they really, a big share of them wants to become entrepreneur. And therefore, a share of them wants to become entrepreneurs in social enterprises, because social enterprises match their needs to work while producing an impact. You know that social enterprises are there to address major economic and social challenges, and they have an explicit mission to have a social impact. So social enterprises can be a part of the solution. Next slide, please. And you see that they are indeed a part of the solution because they are big in numbers. They represent 10% of all business in European Union, and they also have a significant share of the labor force in Europe, which means that still there is a huge potential for social economy enterprises to grow thanks to youth. Next slide, please. And I do hope that the interpretation works. So, and evidence show, in fact, that youth are already important member of the social economy. So unfortunately, data are not always available, but estimates are positive on the representation of youth in the social economy. And so you see that those figures in Germany, in Quebec, but we know also that this is becoming the case in France and Spain. Next slide, please. Our research showed that all in all, the involvement of youth can make a positive impact through social enterprises, namely contributing to green transition, job creation, local development, and inclusion. Of course, these are impact that social enterprises per se, no matter what the age of social entrepreneur is, can make. But of course, as we were mentioning before, youth can inject new drivers while also contributing to this specific impact. So, and there is a win-win situation because youth engagement in social economy and social enterprise can benefit young people because they gain experience. And in fact, you see that prior to working, to enter work, many young people start working as volunteer in association, and this is very valued by employer because they start getting skills, soft skills, hard skills that they will use later. And of course, youth engagement benefit the social economy, especially because this generation, which is very well acquainted with digital tools, is also helping the digital transition of social economy. And I can refer, for instance, to platform cooperativism. And we have examples, for instance, the drivers cooperative in New York, and of course also getting back to green in green transition. In France, we have example of Enercoop, which is a cooperative, and the cooperative model is indeed very interesting for youth. It is a cooperative which was funded by a young social innovator following his internship at Greenpeace and at the French national electricity provider. So win-win situation, as I was mentioning before. Next slide, please. Of course, I have now presented a rosy situation in which we have seen just the advantages for youth to engage with social economy and for social enterprises to become vehicles of youth employment. But of course, there are challenges that the young would-be social entrepreneur or social entrepreneur faces. And of course, some of these challenges are common to even more senior social entrepreneurs, but they are, let's say, more important for young entrepreneurs. For instance, when it comes to access to finance, of course, young people might not have had the time in their life to earn money and save, and so when they have to put money in their business, they lack collaterals, they don't have a credit history or personal saving, and which means that they need to rely on maybe a family circle or friend giving money, because the banks might be resistant to give money to them. And there is also a problem of knowledge and skills, because they have less experience in running a business. And of course, they might find some difficulty in accessing training and education. Although now the training offer for social entrepreneurship is improving, and this is why, and you will hear later on my colleague from the European Commission, Dana Verbal, present an excellent initiative by the European Commission, the Youth Entrepreneurship Policy Academy, to which OECD cooperate too, and this is really an excellent initiative to help young people improve their skill. And obviously there is a need in terms of visibility and recognition. And we, in our survey, we saw that policymakers are relatively unaware of the potential and challenges of youth-led entrepreneurs, and more than half of the respondents say that institutional support, legal recognition, and business development were key challenges. Next slide, please. So based on these challenges and other challenges, of course, there is a lot of work and a lot of policy action that policymaker can undertake. So first of all, amplified youth perspective, which means putting youth at the center of tailored policies. And in our surveys, we see that things start to move, and there are already in place at national, regional, and local level strategies targeting youth. And again, I think that this will become even more relevant, because now the European Social Economy Action Plan has really underlined the prominence of youth skill development. Then the big policy action that need to be done by policymakers is facilitate the access to finance. And we see that in countries there are initiatives which are mainly done not also by policymakers. For instance, in Scotland, we have the Scottish Social Enterprise Action Plan, which inject monies for 30 million pounds loans for youth. And then we have social innovation capacity fund in in Canada, we see things in France. And more generally, there is a need to have a mix of non-repayable funds and loans and guarantees to allow young people to access finance. And then expanding training and education. And when I started to work 25 years ago in this field, the educational offer concerning social economy and social entrepreneurship was close to zero. Now the situation has really improved, and there are curriculum in higher education available. Still, there is a need maybe to inject some teaching in primary and secondary schools so that people, since their young age, can see that there are opportunities in the cooperative sector, for instance, for them to become entrepreneurs. And of course, last but not least, there is a need to gather data and raise awareness on the share of social entrepreneurs and the needs on young social entrepreneurs. And we see that there are important networks such, for instance, Euclid, which are starting to do so. So next slide, please. So what I mentioned was really the tip of the iceberg. The conclusion is that we need really to amplify the voices of young people. And those of you who were last week at the event organized in Strasbourg on social economy, the future of Europe during the French presidencies, might have seen that in the final plenary, youth people were asked to raise their voice and to highlight the challenges that they face. And the final plenary session was really very interesting, and I would even say very moving, because those young people took the responsibility in saying we need this, and there was a dialogue between the senior participants, policymakers, actors in the field. So definitely young people need to be part of the discussion, and obviously they need to engage with policymakers. And this is exactly what the European Youth Entrepreneurship Policy Academy will do, because we will put together young people and policymakers to discuss, so that out of this dialogue, an alignment of needs and solutions can possibly stem. Next step, and I stop here. So just wanted to show you that we are working on many things that are relevant also for young people willing to start the social enterprises, because we see also that a lot of young people are attracted by business model in the circular economy. They want to go green, they want to reuse, recycle, and then social procurement and private procurement, public and private procurement, are important elements for young people to access the market. And then we work on internationalization, on gender equality, because also there is a need to help women to overcome barrier, and legal framework and social impact measurement are also elements that need to be on the table for people and young people willing to start social enterprises. I'm done here. Thank you very much for your attention. I will have to leave in a few minutes, but my colleague James Hermanson, who is working with other colleagues on this topic, will be glad to address any question you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, mulțumim foarte mult, Antonella Noya, șefa Unității de Economie Socială și Inovare de la OECD. O temă importantă și care converge cumva chiar cu ce se întâmplă la noi în sală, respectiv prezența foarte mulți tineri antreprenori sociali care derulează și se văd tot mai atrași de aceste tipuri de organizații, de aceste tipuri de societăți sociale.